Hello, this is Joshua Cross with TrueBeacon, and I'm going to deliver the third installment of the basic multi-location training videos. This multi-location training video is going to focus on reporting and how the reporting in multi-location is really pretty cool and powerful for an individual store. And not only for an individual store, but with multi-location you can also bring in merchant groups, and you can see the same kinds of reports across a whole variety of merchants that you might be interested in looking at. Let's go ahead and sign in. I'm going to sign in as Marcy's, my favorite test merchant. There's Marcy's Coffee Shop. We'll get logged in here to multi-location, and we're just going to dive straight into the reports tab. The very first thing that's going to show up on the reports tab is multi-location group me. I'm going to come back to that in a second because it's very important on the reports page, and it's a little bit different than the other pages. And then you're just going to get a quick summary and overview of today's sales. So you can see there's this really neat time on the x-axis and dollar value of the transaction on the y-axis, and the size of the bubble gives you a quick indication as to how many items were in that transaction. So it's a test merchant, so there's not a whole lot there, maybe 7 or 8 transactions for the course of the day, but your stores are going to have a lot more, and that's a really cool graph. It gives you a very quick idea of what's going on at your store in terms of sales throughout the day. Here's another version of that. This is lumped by hour. Most all of these reports pages and most all the graphs and most all of the tabular data are going to come with some kind of start and end date. So here you can see it's starting on August 26th at midnight, and it's ending on August 26th at almost midnight of the next day. So we're getting 24 hours of data here basically, and I can change from looking at the net data to looking at the number of transactions. I can change to looking at, that was what we were just looking at, discounts, there's none for today, or the gross information as well. And you can do that for pretty much all charts, and you're going to see that more in just a second. Going back up here, on the reports page, the multi-location groups box works a little bit differently. The me merchant, which is me, Marcy's Coffee Shop in this particular case, has a very important role, which is that if you explicitly remove it, it's actually going to remove all the data. And the reason why we do this is because if you want to just log in as one merchant but switch from me to another merchant that you have in your account, you could switch accounts over here. But you can also do it a little bit faster just by eliminating me and then switching over to one of your other test merchants. I think most of these merchants have no sales data, so they're not going to be terribly interesting. But that's what you can do with the multi-location groups box for reports. Let's go back and add me, and let's go ahead and add back merchant group A plus B, a merchant group that I do use a fair amount. There's not any extra data for today, but there is extra data year to date, month to date. You can get some day over day comparisons. You can change the days that you're comparing, week over week as well, and month over month. So that's the first sales page. You're going to find similar charts and similar boxes and reports on the payments page, but it's of course all going to be focused on payments. Let me go through the page real quick just so you get a quick idea of what's here. If we add a merchant group, you're going to see something else that's kind of neat. You'll notice that some of these boxes ended up with pluses next to them, and what that means is that any box that has a plus, you can click on the plus, and it's gonna break it out by some parameter, and that parameter in this particular case is the individual merchants that are a part of that merchant group. You can rearrange that information on some of the tables and some of the graphs. Over here in the graph, you can get a mouse over and it tells you who's doing what. Change it to number, and you'll see that they're slightly different. We're looking at the number of transactions in this case. Down into the timeline, notice that we're looking at 3 3 months of data here, and so you're going all the way back into May, all the way up to the present. You can change it to be a stacked view if you like that better. And then here's where you can sort of regroup the information. On this particular graph, we give you the option of grouping it by merchant, or you can group it by tender. Remember, we're looking at payments on this particular page. So when we group it by tender, what we're looking at is all of the cash payments that came in on May 25th versus all of the check payments that came in on May 25th, with the merchants, in this case Marcy's, Test Merchant A and Test Merchant B, being lumped together, right? We can disaggregate the merchants by grouping it by merchants. Now what you're looking at is no distinction between the two tender types, cash or check in this case, but rather all of it's lumped together based upon Test Merchant B versus Marcy's versus Test Merchant A. So you can do quite a bit in terms of reorganizing the data depending upon what you're trying to tease out and what you're trying to learn for your particular merchant, your particular merchant groups. Item level reporting is pretty awesome because you can get line item information, and if we add a merchant group, A plus B, check this out, right? So now drilling, go all the way into the middle. These are items, and then it's showing you categories of items. That's all the Hot Pockets, that's all the Private Reserve, that's all the blended, and then we go up, and that's saying, okay, from this particular category, it turns out that there was only one item sold. I think it's because there's only one item in the category. But regardless, so now we're looking at the Dutch Cocoa large. And now if I go up one more level, I can see that Marcy's sold 79, the lion's share of that item. Test Merchant A sold a little bit, and it looks like Test Merchant B sold maybe 1 or 2. So if you organize the data this way, if you look at this particular page and you have a merchant group, you can very quickly see who is selling how much of a particular item, and if you're trying to do a promotion, or if you're trying to get a particular location to sell more of something, this is a very quick way to see that information. Again, there's those little pluses, and if you click on them, you can see, okay, from the blended category, we sold the Dutch Freeze, and then underneath that, you can see actually the 3 different merchants. And you can rearrange how this is shown if you change the group by, then by, then by. So we basically give you a couple of different levels. So it's grouping by category, that's blended. Then it's grouping by item, that's the Dutch Freeze. And then it's grouping by merchant, and you can rearrange that, right? So if we want to first group by item, now there's only one extra layer. So we can group by item, and then we can group by merchant. And here you see the Annihilator, A, B, and Marcy's, and then various other items there as well. So lots of different ways, lots of items, lots of different ways that you can rearrange the data. And you can look at how employees are selling particular items. I'm the only employee that's sold anything. You can look at how discounts are performing. Not a whole lot of discounts in my test merchants. And then finally, you can export all of this very easily. So if you are on the export page, you can export to Excel. Please let us know other formats that you might be interested in by emailing us at multilocation.clover.support. And you can pick your date range, and this is super cool, you can do exports across your merchant groups, right? So you can save a whole lot of time if you're trying to do an export to Excel of all of your sales, payment, item, employee, discount data by selecting the merchant group, and then the date range that you care about, and then export that, and it's going to download to your computer as an Excel file, and it's going to save you a whole lot of time, because it would, in Clover you would have to go to all of those different merchants individually. And not only that, but all of those different reports are different clicks of the export button. So just this reporting page and being able to use multi-location and get that exported to Excel is going to save you a whole lot of time. That basically concludes the quick run-through of reporting in multi-location. Again, my name's Josh, and this concludes the trio of introductory videos. If you send an email to that support link at the bottom of that page with any questions or ideas for additional functionality, it's going to come to me, and I will be as quick in responding as I can be. Thank you very much for watching the videos. Thanks very much for downloading and trying out multi-location. We hope that it really helps you run your business well and efficiently and gives you some really powerful tools. Thank you.